Have you been feeling strange lately? Like something big is brewing just beneath the surface of your everyday life? Well, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world are starting to sense a major change coming, a shift that's going to rock our world in the best possible way. We're talking about the move from 3D to 5D consciousness, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind. Now you might be wondering, what on earth is 3D and 5D consciousness? Don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you. But first, let me tell you why this matters so much. This shift isn't just some new age mumbo-jumbo. It's a real transformation that's happening right now, and it's going to change everything about how we live, think, and connect with each other and the world around us. Here's the thing. If you don't know what to look for, you might miss out on this incredible spiritual growth that's happening right under your nose. Imagine going through life feeling like something's off, like you're not quite in sync with the world around you. That's what happens when you're shifting but don't realize it. It's like having a superpower and not knowing how to use it. But don't worry, that's why we're here today. We're going to dive into the 8 mind-blowing signs that show you're making the leap from 3D to 5D consciousness. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what's happening to you, but you'll also be excited about the amazing journey ahead. Before we jump into the signs, let's talk about what we mean by 3D and 5D. Think of 3D as the world we've always known. It's the physical reality we can see, touch, and measure. In 3D, we focus on surviving, competing, and living by the rules we've always been taught. It's like seeing the world in black and white, functional, but missing so much depth and beauty. Now 5D is where things get really exciting. It's like someone suddenly turned on the color and added a whole new dimension to your vision. In 5D, we start to see beyond the physical. We connect more deeply with our intuition, with others, and with the universe itself. It's a state of being where love, compassion, and unity become our driving forces, rather than fear and separation. The shift from 3D to 5D isn't about leaving our physical world behind. Instead, it's about expanding our awareness and experiencing reality in a much richer, more connected way. It's like upgrading your old TV to a high-def surround sound home theater system. Everything becomes clearer, more vivid, and more immersive. As we go through the 8 signs, remember that this shift is a process. You might recognize some signs right away, while others might still be developing. That's totally normal. Everyone's journey is unique, and there's no rush. The important thing is to stay open, curious, and excited about the changes you're experiencing. So, are you ready to discover if you're making the leap to 5D consciousness? Let's dive into the first mind-blowing sign that shows you're on your way to a whole new level of awareness and connection. Have you ever had a gut feeling so strong it felt like someone was shouting advice in your ear? Or maybe you've been experiencing more coincidences lately, like thinking about an old friend and then bumping into them at the grocery store. If so, congratulations. You're experiencing the first major sign of shifting to 5D consciousness, supercharged intuition. In the 3D world, we're taught to rely on logic and hard facts. We're told that if we can't see it or measure it, it's not real. But as you start shifting to 5D, you'll notice that your inner knowing, that gut feeling becomes stronger and more reliable. Think of it like this. In 3D, your intuition is like a whisper in a noisy room. You might hear it if you're really paying attention, but it's easy to miss. In 5D, that whisper turns into a clear, strong voice that's hard to ignore. You start to trust your instincts more, and you find that when you follow your intuition, things tend to work out in amazing ways. Here's an example. Let's say you're thinking about taking a new job. On paper, it looks great. Good pay, nice office, impressive title. But something in your gut is telling you it's not right. In 3D thinking, you might ignore that feeling and take the job anyway because it makes logical sense. But in 5D, you listen to that inner voice. You turn down the job, and a week later, an even better opportunity falls into your lap, one that aligns perfectly with your passions and values. This heightened intuition isn't just about making big decisions. You might find yourself knowing who's calling before you check your phone, or having a strong urge to take a different route home only to find out later that your usual route was blocked by an accident. It's like you're tapping into a field of knowledge that goes beyond what your 5 senses can tell you. Now I know what you might be thinking, but I've always had good intuition. How is this different? The key is in the frequency and clarity of these intuitive hits. As you shift to 5D, these experiences become more common and more precise. You're not just getting vague feelings, you're receiving clear guidance that you can actually put into action. Here's the really cool part. As your intuition grows stronger, you'll find that you're able to connect more deeply with others too. You might find yourself knowing exactly what a friend needs to hear, or understanding someone's true feelings, even if they're trying to hide them. This deepening connection is a beautiful part of the 5D shift, bringing more empathy and understanding into your relationships. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. As your intuition grows stronger, it's important to use it wisely. This isn't about prying into others' private thoughts or trying to control outcomes. Instead, it's about aligning yourself more closely with the flow of the universe and using your inner guidance to create more harmony in your life and the lives of those around you. So how can you develop this first sign of 5D consciousness? Start by paying more attention to those gut feelings. When you get a hunch about something, don't brush it off. Take a moment to listen and see where it leads you. Keep a journal of your intuitive hits and see how often they turn out to be right. The more you acknowledge and act on your intuition, the stronger it will become. As we move through the other signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this growing intuition plays a part in many of the changes you'll experience. It's like you're developing a new sense, a 5D sense, that allows you to navigate the world in a whole new way. Now, let's move on to the second mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness. Trust me, this next one is going to make you see your life in a whole new light. Have you ever had one of those days where time seems to fly by in the blink of an eye? Or maybe you've experienced the opposite. Moments that seem to stretch on forever, rich with detail and feeling. If you've been noticing that your perception of time is getting a bit weird, then congratulations. You're experiencing the second major sign of shifting to 5D consciousness, a changing relationship with time. In the 3D world, we're used to time being a strict linear thing. The clock ticks, The calendar pages turn, and we all march forward at the same pace. But as you start to shift into 5D consciousness, you might find that time becomes more fluid, more flexible. It's less like a rigid march and more like a flowing dance. Let's break this down a bit. In 3D consciousness, we often feel like we're racing against the clock. We're always trying to squeeze more into each day, stressing about deadlines, and feeling like there's never enough time. It's exhausting, right? But in 5D, your experience of time starts to change. You might notice that when you're doing something you love, time seems to expand. You enter a state of flow where hours can pass in what feels like minutes. On the flip side, you might also find that you can get more done in less time when you're focused and aligned with your purpose. It's like you're stepping outside the usual constraints of time. Here's an example. Let's say you have a project you've been putting off because you think it'll take forever. But when you finally sit down to do it, you find yourself in a state of flow. Ideas come easily, problems solve themselves, and before you know it, the project is done, and it only took half the time you expected. That's 5D time in action. Now, this doesn't mean you'll suddenly be able to bend time like a superhero. Your boss will still expect you to meet deadlines, and the bus won't wait just because you're operating on 5D time. But what it does mean is that you'll start to experience time in a more flexible, abundant way. You might also start to notice that your sense of past, present, and future becomes more fluid. Instead of feeling stuck in the past or anxious about the future, you find yourself more able to be present in the moment. At the same time, you might have moments where you can almost feel the past, present, and future existing all at once. It's a trippy experience, but a beautiful one. This new relationship with time can have some pretty amazing effects on your life. For one, you might find yourself feeling less stressed and rushed. When you're not constantly racing against the clock, life becomes more enjoyable. You might also find that you're better able to prioritize what's truly important, focusing your time and energy on the things that really matter to you. Another cool aspect of this 5D time perception is that you might start to notice more synchronicities in your life. You know those moments when everything seems to line up perfectly? Like you think of an old friend and then run into them 5 minutes later? Or a song comes on the radio that perfectly describes what you're going through. In 5D consciousness, these sync moments become more frequent and more meaningful. So how can you develop this second sign of 5D consciousness? Start by becoming more aware of your experience of time. Notice when time seems to fly by and when it seems to slow down. Pay attention to those moments of flow when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that you lose track of time completely. The more you tune into these experiences, the more you'll be able to access this 5D perception of time. Try experimenting with your routines too. Instead of always watching the clock, try going with the flow of your natural rhythms. You might be surprised at how much more productive and enjoyable your day becomes when you're not constantly racing against time. Remember, this shift in time perception isn't about ignoring your responsibilities or floating around in a timeless bubble. It's about developing a more flexible, abundant relationship with time that allows you to live more fully and joyfully in each moment. As we continue to explore the signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this new perception of time interacts with the other changes you're experiencing. It's all part of a beautiful unfolding, an expansion of consciousness that's changing the way we experience reality. Now, are you ready to discover the third mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness? Hold on to your hats, because this next one is going to shake up everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. All right, let's talk about emotions. In the 3D world, emotions often get a bad rap. We're told to keep a stiff upper lip, to not let our feelings show, especially the uncomfortable ones. But as you shift into 5D consciousness, you'll find that your emotions become one of your greatest strengths. Welcome to the third sign of the 5D shift, emotional mastery. Now, when I say emotional mastery, I don't mean suppressing your feelings or always being happy. That's old 3D thinking. In 5D, emotional mastery is about fully experiencing and understanding your emotions, using them as a guidance system, and even tapping into them as a source of energy and creativity. Think about it like this. In 3D, emotions are often seen as inconvenient or even dangerous. We try to push away the bad feelings and hold on to the good ones. It's like we're constantly fighting a battle with our own hearts. But in 5D, you start to see all emotions as valuable information. They're like messengers, each bringing you important insights about yourself and your environment. Here's an example. Let's say you're feeling angry. In 3D thinking, you might try to suppress that anger, telling yourself you shouldn't feel that way. Or you might lash out, letting the anger control your actions. But in 5D, you approach that anger with curiosity. You ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me? What boundaries have been crossed? What needs aren't being met? By doing this, you turn that anger into a tool for understanding and positive change. As you shift into 5D, you might notice that you're able to feel your emotions more deeply, but they don't overwhelm you like they used to. It's like you're surfing the waves of your feelings rather than being tossed around by them. You become more aware of the subtle nuances of your emotional state, picking up on feelings you might have missed before. This emotional awareness extends to others too. You might find that you're becoming more empathetic, able to sense what others are feeling, even if they're not expressing it openly. This doesn't mean you take on everyone else's emotions. That's not healthy. Instead, you develop a compassionate awareness that allows you to connect more deeply with others without losing yourself. One of the coolest things about this 5D emotional mastery is that you start to see how your emotions affect your reality. You notice that when you're feeling joyful and grateful, more positive experiences seem to flow into your life. When you're feeling fearful or angry, you might attract challenging situations. This isn't about blaming yourself for negative emotions, but about understanding the powerful connection between your inner state and your outer world. Now here's where it gets really exciting. As you develop this emotional mastery, you'll find that your emotions become a source of energy and creativity. Think about how a powerful song can move you to tears, or how the right words can fill you with determination. In 5D, you learn to channel your emotions into creative expression, healing, and positive change. For example, instead of letting sadness drag you down, you might use it as inspiration for a beautiful piece of art. Or you might channel your passion into activism, using that emotional energy to work for positive change in the world. Your emotions become fuel for your purpose, driving you forward in powerful ways. So how can you develop this third sign of 5D consciousness? Start by practicing emotional awareness. When you feel something, don't push it away. Instead, take a moment to really feel it. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts come with it? What is this emotion trying to tell you? Try keeping an emotion journal where you track your feelings throughout the day. Look for patterns and triggers. This isn't about judging your emotions as good or bad, but about understanding them better. Another great practice is emotional transmutation. This is where you consciously work with your emotions to shift your state. For example, if you're feeling anxious, you might use breath work or visualization to transform that anxiety into excitement or determination. It takes practice, but it's a powerful skill to develop. Remember, becoming an emotional master doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions. You're human, after all. What it does mean is that you'll have a new relationship with your feelings. You'll see them as valuable information and powerful energy, rather than inconveniences to be suppressed or feared. As we continue to explore the signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this emotional mastery interacts with the other changes you're experiencing. It's all part of a beautiful unfolding, an expansion of consciousness that's changing the way we experience ourselves and the world around us. Now, are you ready to discover the fourth mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness? Buckle up, because this next one is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about reality. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly saw the world in a completely new way, like you were looking at everything through fresh eyes? Well, get ready, because as you shift into 5D consciousness, these moments are going to become more and more common. Welcome to the fourth sign of the 5D shift, an expanding perception of reality. In the 3D world, we're used to seeing reality as fixed and objective. There's what we can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell, and that's pretty much it. But as you move into 5D consciousness, you start to realize that reality is so much more than that. It's fluid, it's subjective, and it's influenced by our thoughts and beliefs in ways we never imagined. Think of it like this. In 3D, you're watching a movie on an old black and white TV. You can see what's happening, but you're limited to that one perspective. In 5D, it's like you've stepped into a virtual reality experience. Suddenly, you can look around, interact with your environment, and even influence the story. Your perception of what's real and what's possible expands dramatically. Here's an example. You might start noticing patterns and connections that you never saw before. Maybe you keep seeing the same number everywhere you look, or you start recognizing how events in your life seem to be guiding you towards a specific goal. These synchronicities aren't just random coincidences. They're glimpses into the interconnected nature of reality that becomes more visible in 5D consciousness. As your perception expands, you might also start to question some of your long-held beliefs about how the world works. Things you once took for granted as just the way things are suddenly seem less fixed. You begin to see how your beliefs and expectations shape your experience of reality. It's like realizing you've been wearing tinted glasses your whole life, and now you're taking them off and seeing the true colors of the world for the first time. This expanded perception isn't just about seeing the world differently. It's about experiencing it differently too. You might find that your senses become more acute. Colors might seem brighter, sounds clearer, tastes more vivid. Some people even report developing new sensory abilities, like being able to feel energy fields around people or objects. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Am I going crazy? Is this all just in my head? Rest assured, you're not losing your mind. You're expanding it. This shift in perception is a natural part of the evolution of consciousness. It's like you're upgrading your mental software to be able to process more of the information that's always been there, but that your 3D consciousness couldn't perceive. One of the most exciting aspects of this expanded perception is how it changes your sense of what's possible. In 3D consciousness, we often limit ourselves based on what we believe is realistic or achievable. But in 5D, those limitations start to fall away. You begin to see opportunities and solutions that you never noticed before. It's like the universe is opening up new pathways just for you. For example, you might suddenly get an idea for an invention that could solve a major problem, or you might intuitively know how to heal a long-standing issue in your life. These insights and ideas seem to come out of nowhere, but they're actually a result of your expanded perception, allowing you to access information and possibilities that were always there, just beyond your previous ability to perceive them. So, how can you develop this fourth sign of 5D consciousness? Start by practicing mindfulness and presence. Really pay attention to your environment and your experiences. Notice the details you might usually overlook. Question your assumptions about how things work. Ask yourself, what if there's more to this than I've been taught to believe? Try new experiences too. Visit new places, try new foods, listen to new types of music. Each new experience helps to expand your perception and open you up to new possibilities. And don't be afraid to explore different perspectives and belief systems. You don't have to accept everything you encounter, but being open to different ways of seeing the world can help to expand your own perception. Remember, this expansion of perception isn't about escaping reality or living in a fantasy world. It's about seeing more of the reality that's always been there, but that we've been trained to ignore or dismiss. As you open up to this expanded perception, you'll find that your life becomes richer, more vibrant, and full of exciting possibilities. As we continue to explore the signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this expanded perception interacts with the other changes you're experiencing. It's all part of a beautiful unfolding, an evolution of consciousness that's changing the way we experience ourselves and the world around us. Now, are you ready to discover the fifth mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness? Hold on to your seat, because this next one is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about your place in the universe. Have you ever looked up at the stars and felt a deep sense of connection to the vastness of the universe? Or maybe you've experienced a moment in nature where you suddenly felt at one with everything around you? As you shift into 5D consciousness, these feelings of connection become more frequent and more profound. Welcome to the fifth sign of the 5D shift, a deepening sense of unity and interconnectedness. In the 3D world, we're used to seeing ourselves as separate individuals, distinct from the people and environment around us. It's a bit like we're all billiard balls on a pool table, bouncing off each other, but never truly connecting. But in 5D consciousness, you start to feel the underlying unity that connects all things. It's like realizing that we're not separate balls, but waves in the same vast ocean. This shift in perception can be both beautiful and a bit overwhelming at first. You might find yourself feeling more empathetic towards others, even strangers. Their joys and sorrows might affect you more deeply because on some level you're beginning to understand that their experience is connected to yours. It's not about losing your individuality, but about expanding your sense of self to include more of the world around you. Here's an example. You might be walking down a busy street, and instead of just seeing a crowd of strangers, you suddenly feel a sense of connection to each person you pass. You realize that each of them has their own story, their own struggles and triumphs, and that in some mysterious way, their story is intertwined with yours. This doesn't mean you know the details of their lives, but you feel a sense of shared humanity that goes beyond surface-level differences. This feeling of connection often extends to nature as well. You might find yourself feeling a deeper bond with animals, plants, and even landscapes. A tree is no longer just a tree, but a living being that you're in relationship with. The earth itself might start to feel more alive to you, like a conscious entity that we're all a part of. Now, I know this might sound a bit out there if you're not used to thinking this way, but many people who experience this shift describe it as feeling more real and true than their previous way of seeing the world. It's like they've woken up to a level of reality that was always there, but that they couldn't perceive before. One of the most profound aspects of this increased sense of connection is how it changes your understanding of cause and effect. In 3D thinking, we often see our actions as isolated events. But in 5D consciousness, you start to see how everything you do ripples out and affects the world around you in ways you might not have realized before. This can lead to a greater sense of responsibility and mindfulness in your actions. For example, you might become more aware of how your mood affects the people around you, or how your consumer choices impact the environment and communities around the world. This isn't about feeling guilty, but about recognizing the interconnected nature of all things and using that awareness to make more conscious choices. This deepening sense of connection also often brings a greater feeling of support and guidance from the universe. You might start to feel like you're part of something larger than yourself, and that this larger something is supporting you on your journey. Some people describe it as feeling more in flow with life, or having a stronger sense of being guided towards their true path. So how can you develop this fifth sign of 5D consciousness? Start by practicing mindfulness and presence in your daily life. Really pay attention to the world around you and your place in it. When you interact with others, try to see beyond the surface and connect with their essential humanity. Spending time in nature can be a powerful way to nurture this sense of connection. Try sitting quietly in a natural setting and really opening yourself to your surroundings. Feel the air on your skin, listen to the sounds around you, smell the earth and plants. Allow yourself to feel a part of the natural world rather than separate from it. Meditation and mindfulness practices can also help to cultivate this sense of unity. Try practices that focus on expanding your awareness beyond your physical body, or that emphasize the interconnectedness of all things. Remember, developing this sense of connection doesn't mean you lose your individual identity. It's more like your sense of self expands to include more of the world around you. You're still you, but you're a you that's more aware of your place in the grand tapestry of existence. As we continue to explore the signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this deepening sense of connection interacts with the other changes you're experiencing. It's all part of a beautiful unfolding, an evolution of consciousness that's changing the way we experience ourselves and our place in the universe. Now, are you ready to discover the sixth mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness? Buckle up, because this next one is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about your own potential. Have you ever met someone who just seemed to glow from within? Or maybe you've experienced moments where you felt so alive and vibrant that you could almost feel the energy buzzing through your body. As you shift into 5D consciousness, these experiences become more common. Welcome to the sixth sign of the 5D shift, a change in your energy and vibration. Now, when we talk about energy and vibration, we're not just speaking metaphorically. Everything in the universe, including you, is made up of energy vibrating at different frequencies. In 3D consciousness, we're often unaware of these subtle energies. But as you move into 5D, you become more attuned to them. It's like you're developing a new sense that allows you to perceive and work with energy in ways you couldn't before. Think of it like this. In 3D, you're like an old radio that can only pick up a few stations. As you shift to 5D, it's like you're upgrading to a high-tech system that can tune into a much wider range of frequencies. Suddenly, you're picking up signals you never knew existed. Here's what this might look like in your everyday life. You might start to notice that you feel different physically. Many people report feeling lighter, more vibrant, and more energetic as they shift into 5D consciousness. You might find that you need less sleep, but feel more rested, or that your body craves healthier foods and activities. You might also become more sensitive to the energies around you. This can be both exciting and challenging. On one hand, you might find yourself more affected by beautiful music, art, or nature, experiencing these things more deeply and joyfully than before. On the other hand, you might also find that you're more sensitive to negative energies, feeling drained by certain environments or people. This increased sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's actually a powerful tool. As you learn to work with it, you can use it to navigate your life more effectively. For example, you might find that you can sense when something isn't right in a situation, even if everything looks fine on the surface. Or you might be able to tell when someone is being dishonest, not because you're reading their mind, but because you can feel the dissonance in their energy. One of the most exciting aspects of this energy shift is how it affects your ability to manifest your desires. In 3D consciousness, manifestation often feels like hard work, pushing against resistance to make things happen. But in 5D, it becomes more about aligning your energy with what you want to create. It's less about forcing things to happen and more about allowing them to unfold naturally. For example, instead of struggling and stressing to get a new job, you might find that when you align your energy with the kind of work you truly want to do, opportunities start to flow to you effortlessly. It's not magic. It's about tuning your personal energy to match the frequency of what you want to attract. Now, I know this might sound a bit woo-woo if you're not used to thinking about energy in this way. But many people who experience this shift describe it as feeling more natural and authentic than their previous way of operating in the world. It's like they're learning to work with the flow of life rather than against it. So how can you develop this sixth sign of 5D consciousness? Start by becoming more aware of your own energy. Pay attention to how you feel in different situations and around different people. Notice what makes you feel energized and what drains you. This awareness is the first step in learning to manage and direct your energy more consciously. Practices like meditation, yoga, or energy work like Reiki or Qigong can be helpful in developing your sensitivity to energy. These practices can also help you learn to clear and balance your own energy, which is crucial as you become more sensitive. It's also important to pay attention to your thoughts and emotions, as these have a big impact on your energy. Practice focusing on positive thoughts and feelings, not in a forced way, but by genuinely appreciating the good things in your life. This helps to raise your vibration and align you more closely with 5D consciousness. Remember, this shift in energy and vibration isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself, more aligned with your true nature and potential. As you learn to work with your energy more consciously, you may find that life becomes more joyful, more purposeful, and more magical. As we continue to explore the signs of the 3D to 5D shift, you'll see how this change in energy interacts with the other shifts you're experiencing. It's all part of a beautiful unfolding, an evolution of consciousness that's changing the way we experience ourselves and our ability to create our reality. Now, are you ready to discover the seventh mind-blowing sign that you're shifting to 5D consciousness? Hold on to your hat, because this next one is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about your place in the universe. Have you ever felt like there's more to life than just going through the motions? Like you're meant for something bigger, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is? As you shift into 5D consciousness, this feeling becomes clearer and more powerful. Welcome to the seventh sign of the 5D shift, a profound change in how you view your life purpose. In the 3D world, we often think of life purpose in terms of our career or role in society. It's about what we do rather than who we are. But as you move into 5D consciousness, you start to see your purpose in a much broader, more meaningful way. It's less about achieving specific goals and more about embodying certain qualities or energies. Think of it like this. In 3D, you might see your purpose as becoming a successful doctor or teacher. In 5D, you realize that while those roles might be part of your journey, your true purpose is something like to bring healing energy into the world, or to inspire others to grow. It's a subtle but powerful shift that changes everything about how you approach your life. Here's an example. Let's say you've always felt drawn to helping others, and in 3D consciousness, you interpreted that as needing to become a social worker. But as you shift into 5D, you might realize that your purpose is actually to embody and spread compassion. This could still lead you to social work, but it might also manifest in countless other ways, through your relationships, your art, or even just in how you interact with strangers on the street. One of the most liberating aspects of this shift is that you stop seeing your purpose as something you need to find or achieve. Instead, you realize that you're already living your purpose in every moment, simply by being who you are. It's not about reaching some future goal, but about fully embodying your true self right now. This doesn't mean you stop having goals or ambitions, but it does mean that you approach them differently. Instead of chasing after achievements for their own sake, you start to see your actions as expressions of your deeper purpose. Success becomes less about what you gain for yourself and more about how you contribute to the whole. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, your focus might shift from just making money to creating a business that truly serves others and contributes positively to the world. Or if you're an artist, you might find yourself less concerned with fame or recognition and more focused on creating work that uplifts and inspires others. This shift in perspective often brings a greater sense of peace and fulfillment. You stop feeling like you're constantly striving to become something in the future and start appreciating the journey itself. Life becomes less about reaching a destination and more about fully experiencing and expressing yourself in each moment. So, how can you develop this seventh sign of 5D consciousness? Start by reflecting on what truly matters to you, beyond societal expectations or material success. What qualities or energies do you want to embody and share with the world? What makes you feel most alive and authentic? Try journaling or meditating on these questions. Pay attention to the moments when you feel most aligned and purposeful. These are clues to your deeper purpose. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Your purpose is unique to you. It can also be helpful to explore different spiritual or philosophical teachings about life purpose. Not to find a definitive answer, but to expand your perspective and inspire your own insights. Remember, in 5D consciousness, your purpose isn't something external to discover, but an inner truth to uncover and express. As you become clearer about your purpose, start looking for ways to align your daily life with it. This doesn't necessarily mean making dramatic changes, although it might. Often, it's about bringing more awareness and intention to what you're already doing. How can you infuse your current roles and activities with the qualities and energies that resonate with your deeper purpose? Remember, shifting your perspective on life purpose is a process. It's okay if it feels unclear or if it evolves over time. The key is to stay open, curious, and true to yourself as you navigate this new way of being. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly felt connected to something greater than yourself? A sense of awe and wonder that goes beyond what you can see or touch? As you shift into 5D consciousness, these experiences become more frequent and profound. Welcome to the eighth and final sign of the 5D shift, a spiritual awakening. Now, when we talk about spiritual awakening, we're not necessarily talking about any specific religion or belief system. It's more about a deep, personal experience of connection to the universe, to a higher power, or to your own inner divinity. It's like waking up to a reality that's always been there, but that you couldn't perceive before. In 3D consciousness, spirituality is often seen as separate from everyday life. It's something you do on Sundays or during meditation. But in 5D, the spiritual and the material start to merge. You begin to see the sacred in the ordinary, the divine in the mundane. It's like the whole world becomes infused with a sense of magic and meaning. Here's what this might look like in your life. You might start having more frequent moments of profound peace or joy, seemingly out of nowhere. You might feel a deep sense of love and compassion for all beings, even those you've never met. You might experience moments of clarity where you suddenly understand complex spiritual concepts, not just intellectually, but on a deep, intuitive level. One of the most common experiences in this spiritual awakening is a sense of oneness with all that is. It's like the boundaries between you and the rest of the universe start to dissolve. You might have moments where you feel that you are not just your body or your thoughts, but something much vaster and more eternal. For example, you might be walking in nature and suddenly feel that you're not separate from the trees and the sky, but a part of them. Or you might be in a crowd and experience a moment of connection where you feel the shared humanity of everyone around you. These experiences can be incredibly beautiful and transformative. This spiritual awakening often brings a new perspective on life's challenges. Things that used to upset you might start to seem less important. You might find yourself responding to difficulties with more calm and wisdom, seeing them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to happiness. You might also start to experience what some call synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to be guiding you or confirming you're on the right path. Maybe you think of a question and then immediately come across the answer in an unexpected place. Or you keep seeing certain numbers or symbols that seem to have a special significance. Now, I know this might sound a bit out there if you're not used to thinking in these terms. But for many people who experience this shift, it feels more real and true than their previous way of seeing the world. It's like they've woken up to a deeper reality that was always there, but that they couldn't perceive before. So, how can you nurture this eighth sign of 5D consciousness? Start by staying open and curious. Pay attention to those moments of awe, wonder, or deep peace when they occur. Don't dismiss them as just your imagination. Allow yourself to fully experience them. Practices like meditation, prayer, or spending time in nature can help to cultivate this spiritual awareness. But remember, in 5D consciousness, spiritual practice isn't just something you do at specific times. It's a way of being in the world. Look for ways to bring a sense of sacredness and presence into your everyday activities. It can also be helpful to learn about different spiritual traditions and teachings, not to adopt any one belief system, but to expand your understanding of spiritual concepts and experiences. Remember, though, that your own direct experience is the most important teacher. As you go through this spiritual awakening, you might find that your values and priorities shift. Things that used to seem important might lose their appeal, while you develop a deeper appreciation for simple joys and meaningful connections. Trust this process. It's part of aligning with your higher self and purpose. Remember, spiritual awakening is a journey, not a destination. It's okay if you have moments of doubt or confusion along the way. The key is to stay open, curious, and true to your own experience. As we've explored these 8 mind-blowing signs of shifting from 3D to 5D consciousness, you might have recognized some of these changes in your own life. Maybe you've experienced a few of them, or perhaps you're seeing all of these signs unfolding. Wherever you are in this journey, know that you're part of a beautiful global awakening. This shift from 3D to 5D isn't about leaving the physical world behind or becoming some kind of superhuman. It's about expanding your awareness, deepening your connection to yourself, and the world around you, and living from a place of greater love, wisdom, and purpose. Remember, this is a process, and it's different for everyone. Don't worry if you're not experiencing all of these signs, or if they're showing up in ways different from what we've described. Your journey is unique, and it unfolds in perfect timing for you. As you continue to shift into 5D consciousness, be gentle with yourself. There might be moments of confusion or discomfort as you let go of old ways of being. That's okay. It's all part of the growth process. Trust in your journey and know that you're supported every step of the way. Stay curious and open to new experiences. Pay attention to the subtle changes in your perceptions, feelings, and interactions with the world. Celebrate the moments of clarity, connection, and joy when they come. Remember, too, that this shift isn't just about personal growth. As more and more people awaken to 5D consciousness, we have the potential to create profound positive changes in our world. Your awakening ripples out, affecting everyone and everything around you in ways you might not even realize. So, embrace this journey, trust in the process, and know that by simply being open to this shift, you're already contributing to the evolution of consciousness on our planet. You are a vital part of this great awakening, and your unique gifts and perspective are needed now more than ever. As you go forward from here, carry with you the knowledge that you are far more powerful, more connected, and more divine than you ever imagined. The journey to 5D consciousness is the journey of remembering who you truly are, and that, dear friend, is the greatest adventure of all.